Welcome to the Cynical Developer, the podcast that helps you to improve your development knowledge and career through explaining the latest and greatest in development technology and providing you with what you need to succeed as a developer. This episode was recorded live at Chester Devs, a local tech meetup in Chester in the United Kingdom, and it's the audio track of myself giving a presentation entitled Everything I Wish I Knew as a Newbie. Don't learn to code, learn to problem solve. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, well, day to day we are paid to write code, aren't we? You're not there to write code. You're there to solve business problems. And it doesn't mean that you've always got to code your way out of a problem. You can offer other solutions. And an example of that is that I'm working on a project at the moment. I've been working on it for the best part of 8 months. It needs to be delivered sometime soon. The deadline's coming up. It's really tight. It was just impossible for me to get the admin system, the front end done, all the reporting done, all the integrations. So it just wasn't going to happen. So what I then tabled to them after they come and said, this is what we need, is a manual business process. So we get some of the front end so the customers can go on, they can book the product, they can buy whatever it is on the website. But then the order drops into an admin system maybe, or it drops into a database somewhere where they can generate a report. The business then can go ahead and do something with that. Because there was external pressures from other companies, there's pressures from other departments in the company saying we need this. So it was cheaper for the business to get this out with a manual process than it was to wait another 6 months for me to build out the fancy automated version. So solving a problem when it's with something that isn't code doesn't always have to be a manual process. It might be a fact that you can go and buy something off the shelves. I often have clients come to me and say, oh, I want to build an e-commerce website. And I said, well, what do you want? And they'll explain. They go, well, it's going to be starting about 15 grand. And they sort of say, well, how much? You for what? I said, well, if you haven't got that sort of money, go and use Shopify. It proves whether your product works, whether you're going to sell anything. So buying an off-the-shelf thing, you might feel as a developer, well, that's no good. I need to write something. I need to prove how cool I am, how good I am at programming. That's what I'm paid for. No, and often a lot of these people that will come to you and ask you for these sort of things, they're going to go above and beyond to ask you to do more and more and more stuff, and it just doesn't become worth your time. And it's better for the company to have something off the shelf. Another one might be just that you're being asked to solve the wrong problem. Just because the business comes to you and says, this is what we need, is it actually what they need? You know, get some more information on it. Don't just go, right, I've solved this even before I finish the meeting. I know what the answer is. Don't start trying to solve it with code straight away. So, coding isn't a linear progression. And what I mean by that is that some days you're going to come into work and you're going to smash it. You're going to get out all the features. You're going to feel like, you're going to kill off like 20, 30 bugs, and everyone's going to think you're amazing. And then other days you'll come in and, like the past 3 days, there's been 2 developers, myself and the senior developer at the current company. We've been looking at one bug. We have one string that won't come back from the API correctly, and we don't know why. We're integrating with third parties. We're using some really old code, so it's very hard. So you're going to have days like that. So there are ups and downs. And being new to development, you might come in as a junior. You might see all these senior developers just smashing it out of the park all the time. You think, I'm never going to be that good. The problem is that you're just seeing these guys for the first time, and it just happens to be on their good days. You know, we're not all superhuman. If it works first time, you did it wrong. Now, no matter how simple the problem is that you're looking at, if you write it, you compile it, you run it, and it works, you did it wrong. Either you didn't understand the spec, you were given the wrong requirements, or you misunderstood what it was that was needed. And that tends to be the general rule. And the more smug you are about the problem that you've just solved, the bigger the kick in the shins is that you're going to get. You can prove me wrong on this point. And the way you do that is that you make your code concise, you make it clear, and you make it testable. Now, you might not be doing test-driven development.
But you need to make sure that your code is testable in the future, because after all, programming is a team game. You need to be writing stuff in a way that other people can understand. Maybe they're going to bring a technical tester in that's going to write the unit tests for you after the fact. It's always the best place to write the tests once you know your code works. And thinking about who's going to use this code later on, whether it's even yourself or whether it's somebody else, is a good thing to do. Now, I bang on about this project I've got on the podcast quite a lot, and it sounds like really, really out there. And it's an artificial life game where you've got these creatures that have digital DNA. And this digital DNA decays, it changes, it dictates the size and the colour and the gender and the species. And what I did is that I had a bit of a fair understanding of some biology, so I went on Wikipedia and I started naming things after all the proper biological methods and mechanics. 12 months later, I opened that project. I haven't got a damn clue what any of it does, because I've tried to be too smart, and it's all about keeping that code as simple as you can be. Now, making your code complicated for the sake of making it complicated, it's not clever, doesn't help you in the long run. The more basic code that you write, the better you are for the future, because you'll open it up and you'll know straight away what you want to fix, how to fix a problem, or how you add to it. On a similar note, if it doesn't work, ask for help. I suffer with this. This gets me a kicking quite often, where you'll come up against the problem and I'll maybe go at it for a day, a week, a month, 12 months, and I've not fixed it. Because what I don't want to do is to ask for help and be looked at as if I'm stupid. But that is a mental issue that I've got to get over. And if you at any point are sitting there going, I can't do this, don't ever feel like you're crap at your job. Almost said something else. Asking questions is a good thing. We don't all know the answers to everything. It's impossible, and especially the rate that this industry moves in. If you are ever ridiculed because you've asked a question, because you don't know how AWS event something or other, ice cream, lollipop works, get out of that company. You don't need that sort of toxic environment. It's not a good place to be. You know, being a developer every day is a school day. You've got to learn. You will never stop learning. So always make sure you ask for help. Don't flounder for too long. But in the same breath, don't ask for help straight away. I used to work remotely, 100% of the time for this one job, and I would spend days banging my head against the wall, not understanding how to fix this problem. And I'd go to bed, wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, think, that's it, I fixed it, get up, fix the code, go back to bed. Taking that fresh look on it is always a good thing. Being able to call it and go, I'm not able to get past this point. What's next? Programming isn't just a day job, it's a way of life. Now, you guys are at a tech event, so you understand this, I'm going to assume, already. There's nothing wrong with being a 9-to-5 developer, but you are never going to get to the top of your game. And what I mean by that is not the game, not your friend's game, not the game that everyone else in work is doing, but you are not going to get to the top of your game, your potential, because you're going to go in, do the same thing day in, day out. 10 years of doing the same thing is not 10 years experience. It's 1 day's experience 2,610 times. It doesn't set you up for moving on to a better job or doing anything. You need to get out there. You need to learn. I'm not saying spend 20 hours a week on Pluralsight learning every new JavaScript framework, because in the time I've been talking to you here, 45 new JavaScript frameworks have come out. 14 of them have died. And that's how fast this industry is moving. But getting out, reading blogs, listening to podcasts, just Googling stuff, reading a bit of Stack Overflow and other things like that, it just gets you that knowledge that these technologies are out there. Going to events like this, You might come to an event and think, I ain't got a damn clue what he's talking about. I don't know what she's presenting on. Well, what this next one's on, that's boring. I don't care. You might not care now, but it might help you in 6 months' time when you come up against a new problem. But also, you're showing people like Fran, who take a lot of time out of their own lives to run these events. You're showing them support. It means that events like this can continue, because without people like yourselves that continue to come to these events, they just won't happen. And then what you end up stuck with is the likes of the big conferences like NDC. Now, I went to this one, NDC just gone. It cost me £3,500 to go to that event. A lot of people's businesses will pay for you to go. If you want to talk at the events, you can go for free. But £3,500 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money to pay for a week's event. And it's hard work. But getting out to these events, if you can, is really good. Because you get to talk to other people. You get to learn about these new technologies and stuff like that. If you can't attend in person, attending online, people do webinars. Microsoft, JetBrains do a lot of online stuff that's free. Microsoft even do free events at the Microsoft campus that you can go to learn stuff. Now, I am very biased towards Microsoft technologies because I am a .NET developer. So I went to NDC. I was walking around trying to talk to people. And it's like, oh my God, I'm out in public, I don't want to talk to anybody, and it's very, very hard. Like, I was walking around with these t-shirts and stuff on. I got a lot of side eyes from people who then went and looked at the website and sort of learned about me from that. But it was so difficult to get in and talk to people. If you can muster up the courage just to go up to somebody and say, hi, I'm James and I'm a .NET dev and I like doing this, it's amazing what you'll learn. I learned a little bit about doing building prosthetic arms in .NET. It's not something I would have ever thought about doing, but I met a guy that's doing it. He's traveling around the world building prosthetic arms for kids. It's interesting. So taking that time out of your personal time to improve is going to improve your career. And distractions. So every office is full of distractions, and you need to be very, very, very aware of them in the office, and they can take a lot away from the work that you do day to day. So you have to learn how to cope with them, and some of the coping mechanisms may or may not allow you. The companies that you work for may or may not allow you to do them, but some suggestions are noise cancelling headphones. It's worth spending a little bit more money and buying some good noise-cancelling headphones. If you're allowed to put them on, fantastic. But don't use them as, I'm putting these on so you can all, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not interested. I'm doing my own thing. Now, I've worked in a team where we had 50-50 of the people that were like, I've got my headphones on, I don't want you to disturb me. And then the other 50% has got my opinion where I've got my headphones on, I'm listening to music, I'm trying to concentrate, but if you've got a problem, ask me. Don't wait until you think that I'm ready, because it's never going to be the right time. You might as well just ask me. And sort of get over that, we came up with the frog method, little rubber frog. And what we did with that was that when we needed to be in a situation, like deep in the code, where we didn't want to be disturbed, we couldn't be disturbed because it was very complicated, we stuck the frog on the monitor. The team knew that for that period of time that frog was on there, don't distract us, regardless of what it is. Okay, if it's a P1 issue, then yeah, okay, maybe distract us. Which worked really well, except for when people from other departments walked past and went, why have you got a frog on your monitor? So that took away from it a little bit. But if everybody knows what it's about, then it's definitely up there with doing it. Right, anybody in here classify themselves as a millennial or younger? Show our hands. Yeah. So, brace yourselves. Your parents told you you were special, you were unique. Yeah. Unfortunately, you're not. It still stinks when you go to the bathroom. The code that you write today is tomorrow's crap legacy code. So don't be precious. This is something that I really had an issue with. Now, what I'm talking about is that the code that you write No matter how beautiful you think it is, somebody is going to tell you your baby is ugly. And if you're going to take that personally, you're going to get upset by it. You're going to go out one night, you're going to get really drunk, you're going to come home, and you're going to rant about it on Twitter, and then you're going to have to go into the director's office and explain what you were talking about. Theoretically speaking, we'll say. No, definitely not. Definitely not. This is all theoretical. It's never happened to me. But taking that hatred because somebody's come up and said, I want to change your code, I need to add this to it. It's not personal. At the end of the day, it's code. And something that a lot of people forget to keep in mind is the fact that the code you write, that you are paid to be writing, is not your code. It's owned by the business. And it's up to the business what they do with it. But on the general thing, it's not your code. Be prepared for it to be changed, for it to be wrong. No matter how good you think you are, there's always going to be things that can be changed in your code. And you might introduce the best pattern that you've seen, the best programming pattern, and everybody's raving about how great it is today. But next week, it's going to be an anti-pattern. So keep that in mind. If you're not struggling, you are in the wrong job. If you do not feel out of your depth at least once every day, you are probably in the wrong job if you want to improve and become a better developer. And this comes back to what I was saying earlier about the 1 day of experience for 10 years is 2,610 days of the same experience. Now, the way that you learn best, people can argue, oh, I'm an auditory learner, I'm a visual learner. You learn by finding tough problems and solving those problems. And there's nothing wrong with coming up against issues. As long as you know how to use Ask Jeeves and Lycos and Alta Vista, you can find the answer. A few blank faces, nobody knows what those search engines are. So there's quite a few people that lied about being millennials. As long as you know how to find the answer and you know how to learn from that answer, that is the main takeaway from it. And as I said, every day as a developer is a school day. If you are not prepared to learn, you might as well take your stuff and leave and go and get another job in a different industry, because you need to be progressing. You need to be pushing yourself. And you still need to be able to press the right button. Again, on a similar note, if you're the smartest programmer in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. And this goes along the same sort of ethos, is that if you find yourself in the position where you're always answering the questions, you're always providing help to everybody else, either nobody's providing help to you or they can't provide the help to you, you're not doing yourself any favor for the future, because you might be thinking that you're doing the best that you can, you're producing the best software, but you're in your own little bubble because you're talking to yourself in your own little sound room. Nobody is going, whoa, 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 you think that's good. This is another opinion. You need those conflicting opinions. You need those personality traits in a team to push you further. Not just personally, but all together. As I said, it's a team game, and it's no good working in isolation and pretending that you are the best in the world, because you're not. There's always somebody smarter than you. There's always somebody better than you. So feeling a bit humble and a bit stupid is a good thing. At least that's what I tell myself. Now, I see a face in the room that heard this on my podcast and took this and made a change in their career. Now, if you can't change your job, change your job. I worked out where I first heard this, and it's from Uncle Bob Martin, if anybody knows that name. If you don't know that name, go and look it up. He is the guy that took all the different ideas and put them together and ordered them so it made the word solid. So solid principles. If anybody wants to know what solid principles are, come and see me later. I will point you to the internet. So what I mean by if you can't change your job is that don't go in tomorrow and go, do you know what, I'm pissed off. I can't be arsed with this job. I'm going. If you have tried to change the culture, if you have tried to improve things, say you've tried to bring in continuous delivery, you've tried to bring in coding standards, you've tried to get training budgets, but the company doesn't want to do that, it's an unhealthy environment to be in as a developer. You need to be somewhere that will help you. And a lot of small companies are quite against doing these sort of things, but it's our job to educate them that this is better for the company in the long run. But you can only say this so many times. Once you get to the point where you feel that yourself, or even as a team, that you are not progressing, you're not doing any better, you're not going to get anything more out of the job, find something else. We're in a market that is very weighted in employee favour. It's not in the employer's favour. A lot of companies will tell you, and I've been told this, you are very lucky to have your job. You are very lucky that I employ you. I've been made redundant 3 times in my career, and the longest I've been out of work, I think, is about 18 hours. Because I just jump on in there, I give a few recruiters a call and go, got a job, 2 or 3 might not have, but somebody's going to have something somewhere, and somebody will give you a job, as long as you're not really awful. So, as long as you're a pretty good dev, you're open to learning, then you'll do all right. Now, on this changing your job, I have a lot. When I used to be a hiring manager, I had a lot of people come to me and say, I don't want to leave because the team's going to hate me for it. I'm leaving them in the lurch. Or, what's the company going to think? The company? Who cares? The company doesn't matter. If you come in tomorrow and the company decided that they didn't want to employ you anymore, they wouldn't employ you regardless of what your contract says. There's no loyalty from a business, really. If the team has any respect for you, has any respect for themselves, they will wish you well and they will help you on your way. You need to do what is best for you at every turn, every point in your career. And it's about keeping food on the table and a roof over your head. And we're very lucky to be in an industry where we can actually choose to be in a job where we are happy and we enjoy it. It's not like we're going to work every day and going, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. If you feel like that, move on. And I need to take my own medicine sometimes and go with this, because sometimes it can be better the devil you know, and it can be quite scary to jump out and go somewhere else, but there is always somewhere else. Oh, and I pressed the wrong button again. So, thank you for watching, for listening. If you have any opinions, any questions, feel free to keep them to yourselves. If you want to come grab me after this, then please do. Come and ask me anything you want to ask me.
So thanks for listening to The Cynical Developer. I'm James Stoddart, and you've just been listening to me talking live at Chester Devs about everything I wish I knew as a newbie developer. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, then drop us an email, a tweet, or leave a comment on the website where you can find all the resource links, show notes for each episode. And if you enjoy this episode, please leave a review on your favourite podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher, whatever it is, and help The Cynical Developer to reach more developers around the globe.